I'd like to introduce everyone to some very special you'd love to meet. Her name is Jessica Jorgensen, and she's the founder of Go Roam Tech. And when you say roaming, she really means roaming and having the internet connected with you all the time without problems. So she's an expert in that field and an expert in many other things. But Jessica, could I just ask you to start off with a little bit of your life journey to where you got today? You can encapsulate that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I'd like to tell people I'm a technology brat. Like I was born in the industry. So there were never times in my home where technology wasn't a part of the discussion. So I literally grew up in the industry. We used to do a lot of work on refrigerator sized phone systems because that's what they were in those days. And then I evolved with the technology into all of the network things and everything that rides the internet today, because that's just the way it went. I have been taking care of people and their connectivity issues since I was like 12 and lost the adolescent twinge in my voice. That's really how I got started. So often my dad says, I wish I had taught you something different, but technology has been great to me. And it's a massively impactful for people like myself. And I mean, everybody, we don't get through a day without technology anymore. So I am happy to have had the experience of the evolution of it so that I understand the way it needs to work today and how it can really help people.
You're a life learner, then I take it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. What led to starting your own the consulting that you do? You're a real problem solver when it comes to technology. And I imagine you've seen everything. People bring you all kinds of things and you're able to walk them through or actually help them. You're also known as a digital nomad. It means you get
Yes.
around, travel, and you had to solve the problem of wireless connections and getting good connections for what you do. Could you tell us a bit about Go Roam Tech and what's all
Yeah.
involved with that?
You bet. So Go Roam Tech is specifically wireless connectivity for roamers in any kind of rig, any kind of vehicle. I created it based on my experience in the IT world. I also am an IT consultant. I help a lot of businesses with their communications in phones. I'm still a phones girl after all these years, in addition to internet, because that's how the phone run these days. My husband and I have 7 adult children. So when the last one was getting ready to graduate from high school, I said, what are we going to do with all this free time? And I was like the worst of all the kids. Every time we weren't on a trip or we just got back from a trip, I'm like, babe, I'm bored. And he just looked at me like, we just got back, that kind of thing. So we were constantly planning. We took a very long trip as a proof of concept in 2021 just to see if we could make it happen. And we were gone for about 6 months. And then after that, I said, that's it. We're selling everything we own. Let's get in the big, beautiful fifth wheel and start traveling. So we've been on the road for over a year. So just a little bit of like how we got there. But the reason is really quality of life, right? So the technology I've always helped my clients with enabled quality of life, because as an IT consultant for me, I need to work from the football field. And I was like, I'm the most impatient power user person that needs all the things to work all the time. So if I can figure out how to make things work for me, then my clients are going to benefit from that. Because as much as I love technology, I am like the fussiest, most impatient, 50 tabs open all the time kind of girl. So I needed the technology to work really well for this to work, for us to travel and work all the time. So I took enterprise SD-WAN technology, which is software defined wide area networks. It makes all the internets work better. And we said, let's adapt the ones they made to go outside for oil rigs to our RVs. So everything is meant to
Oh,
be in high temperatures. It's meant to be exposed to the sun and UV rays and all that kind of good stuff. So it doesn't deteriorate that fast. Because I don't know if you've ever traveled in an RV, but electronics don't do well in here because they don't like to be shaken so much.
so true. So we're able to find the equipment that has the sturdiness for RVing
Yeah.
and being out there on the road. There's a whole culture to that.
Yeah.
Other people, you're meeting other RVers, and I'm sure it's a common question. It's such a hassle. I can't get on the internet today, or we're out of phone
Yeah.
range, or all the different things that happen out there. So you're a bit of a godsend when it comes to running into people like that and solving it, because the investment doesn't look to be that big or great of a deal compared to the value that people would get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That
agree.
seems to
We
hold
do.
true.
We meet a lot of other digital nomads, and I'm in a part of a lot of groups that are specifically for travelers. And I think the number
Oh,
one
sure.
question they ask every day is, how do I get internet? And what's with these horrible RV mattresses? Those are the top two questions in every group every day. Yeah, absolutely. They're terrible. I don't know why they don't make better mattresses for these guys. But anyway, the internet stuff is tricky because not everybody needs all the things I have. We spend a lot of time. My husband still has a full-time corporate job. He's the VP of a big telecom company, right? So he's on calls all day, every day. I do the things that we interact with all day, every day. I need Teams to work well. I need Zoom to work well. I need Google Workspaces to work well. So that's where the tech really gets into play, but not everybody needs all of that stuff. So we do have other plans to help folks that don't need all the packets to arrive in order, to be real nerdy for a moment. And there's simply uploading data or downloading data or streaming TV. That's the thing we get the most. All the
Oh,
TV stuff
yes.
went to all internet streaming based, and people are really suffering in their RVs because they don't have appropriate internet to watch the TV they want to.
How much bandwidth do they actually need, and what are you able to deliver that meets or actually goes over that so they could be on their phone while they're watching TV and the things that could really expand the use of the bandwidth that they have? But how does that work?
It depends on what service they need. So we have plans that go anywhere from
I see.
100 gigs to a terabyte of service, depending on what
Mhm.
they need and what kind of gear it is. My husband and I use about probably 300 gigs a month on average. And we use that through a combination of satellite through Starlink, because we're moving all the time, LTE plans from Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. So what our gear does, it takes those signals and it blends them and makes them really unbreakable so that we always have service everywhere. For example, right now, we're in a spot where we have obstructions from Starlink, and their app says that we can expect interruption every 7 minutes because that's the orbit of the satellite coming through. But our gear takes the supplemental internet from the Verizon SIM card and AT&T SIM card, and it makes sure that we don't experience any issues. It just takes care of all of that back end nonsense so that we're not interrupted during the day while we're trying to work.
So the heart of the matter is you have the type of software and hardware that actually brings wireless carriers and together to actually mesh. That's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. When you travel, I have a question. Maybe the viewers will have the same question about Starlink and the subscription. I just understood reading on their site that it might be an area around your house and you could go out a little ways and still have great connection. But when you're traveling in an RV, you're basically having to switch off from one satellite to another Starlink satellite. How do they do that? Is that even possible?
Yeah, so there's a couple different changes. And so this is how we travel. We use the LTE while we're actually traveling because it's going to pick up, or the wireless signal, it's going to pick up AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile from the air while we're on the roads. That's usually where it's most applicable. And then when we park, we put out our Starlink so that we can get the signal and then blend them all together. So we have the best of both worlds. There's new Starlink technology that's a different kind of satellite you can mount on your RV to have like pulling that signal in constantly.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's very expensive. It's very expensive. And the signal is again based on where you're at. So the thing that we struggle with is like shade or Starlink. You have to choose because
Used
you're
to
not going to
choose,
get, you
right.
have to choose. So we like the ability of having all of the things. We have to have internet no matter where we're at. We're always going to have some sort of signal. And then because we don't have the Starlink permanently mounted on our house, on our rig, we can take it out over into the grass and let it get a more clear spot than maybe the roof. But it's always every place we pull into, we go, oh, that's a nice spot. Oh no, can we get Starlink? Every other traveler is doing the
Yeah.
same thing right now. So
Yeah, it's part of the deal, part of the
it's
deal.
part of the
And
deal. It's
yeah, I just saw the other day and hooked up my phone to my PC, and that was a little bit of messing around with it to get it done. People are not that savvy with these things. They would rather pay
yeah,
someone to be able to do it. Even if you teach them how to do it, they want to spend their time elsewhere.
yeah,
So when they meet you, you could actually teach them,
yeah.
show them the equipment. They could install it themselves, I take it. You could do more of a hands-on approach, maybe come up with video training or something like that if you're doing that. So you can definitely help people in a lot of different ways, especially when you're on the
Yeah.
road. You could still be getting systems installed just because you have it installed. It's
Exactly.
paramount to your business for sure. For
It
sure. And
is.
you're right about the
Yeah.
streaming, the TV, everyone's cutting the cord.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to be the cable's just gotten silly to
Agreed.
have.
Yeah.
So that's a big change. Where do you think you'll be taking the business? Are you going to keep it like a lifestyle business, or is it growing at a pace where you're going to have to scale up at some point?
It's definitely growing and we will definitely scale. I've already worked out some of the, as you can imagine, some of the provisioning and fulfillment issues that my being on the road might create for that sort of scenario. So we've conquered that, thankfully. We no longer have to touch the gear to provision it. We've got folks that do that for us. So it can go straight from order to delivery to our clients. And then we do help them through that installation. But our next thing is to really help more folks in the rural communities as well. Obviously, when we are traveling, we like to stop in the rural communities. They have a lot of underserved folks from an internet perspective. So we're able to help them as well. And our next big thing that we have not released the location of yet will be coming fairly soon is RV Go Roam parks. Because when we travel,
Cool.
RV parks they're built primarily for retirees, especially in the Phoenix area and a lot of other areas around the country, because those are the folks with the most time and have traditionally spent so much time traveling in their RVs. However, there are over 1 million people that are now living and working from a non-traditional housing of some sort. And those are the folks that we really can help. So when we talk about like an RV park, it's built with meeting rooms, right? Big laundry services, areas for the kids to play, things so that families and young professionals have the opportunity to do what they need to do and still be on the road, because that's the reality of it. Yesterday, we finished up our work and we said, let's go explore this area. We hopped in the Can-Am and went. It's not like we couldn't do what we are doing from any other location. It's just that we want to be closer to the nature. And I've always
Got it.
known that if I were in an environment where I basically had to see the same 5 people every day, I would not be a happy Jess. I need strangers. I like to talk to people. I love to be out there. So it's a big deal for me to be able to have conversations with folks online and fill that cup, and then also go fill my soul in nature. So that's the big deal for us. We're looking at those RV parks as a way to help more folks who are working from the road have that kind of stable community and build the community, because we meet folks like us. We've already got people we're planning to meet up with all over the country just by lieu of what we're doing and helping them do that. So we want to continue to help as many people as possible get connected and see life in a different way, right? I don't have to live in a big suburban house. I can do all the things I want and love from an RV that has the best office views that you could possibly pay for.
There's also the people looking to get out of the city and buy a little bit of land and just live off of a tiny house. A tiny house doesn't
Absolutely.
have to be tiny. It could still be 500 square feet. It's
Yep.
considered tiny. And that's more than enough room, actually,
Yeah.
especially if it's just the two of you and the kids are gone.
Yeah. I
Or,
was
or
groomed.
yeah,
Yeah. I was groomed into that very corporate culture, which I think a lot of people my age were, right? You're going to graduate from high school and you're going to go to college and you're going to get straight into a corporate job and you're just going to start climbing that ladder. And then you get to a point where you're like, I'm not sure I like where the top's at. So at the very least, if you're going to
right.
have that corporate job, if you're going to have that and it's remote, take it on the road, right? So we want to help people see that there are
Exactly.
other ways to do it.
Somehow we have to remove those handcuffs, those golden handcuffs they call them, because of
Yes.
the benefits. You
Mm,
can't leave because of the health insurance and all of that. So the fact that you can work a corporate job and be on the road even and still have that connectivity and get the work done, that's fantastic change. So in a way, the whole COVID thing brought on a whole nother way of looking at stuff. I don't know what's going to happen to commercial real estate because of it down in the
right.
center of cities, because those buildings are emptying out. And
Yep.
they're going to have there's going to be probably a crash in the commercial side of things, just
Yep.
because who needs that space when I can
Yep.
be more efficient giving people what they need, what they want, and they need home time.
Yep.
Yeah,
They need
exactly.
balance.
So
I
yeah,
was really
balance.
fortunate to
That's the word.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, to be in technology all those years when I was raising the kids, because I needed to work from my car. I needed to work from a track field, from the football field, from
Yep.
marching band stadiums. I needed to do what I needed to do. And I think because I was so intimate with the technology itself and knew how it existed and why it worked, I was able to adapt something that helps folks like us travel now.
Is the best way to get answers, and everyone's got a different type of problem, how would they bring that to you? Is there contact on the website, for instance? Is that the best way, or is LinkedIn, or what's the best way to reach you?
I'd say
Or
all of the above.
service?
Yeah,
All of the above.
absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, if you go to our website, there is a contact form. You can ask your specific questions there. You can also email me directly. The email address is info@goroam.tech. That's GOROAM.TECH. And LinkedIn is a fantastic place. If you send me a personal message there, I definitely see those, maybe not immediately, but definitely if you send me an email, I am on top of that 100% of the time. LinkedIn has just become, I got underwater with it, right? Because there's so many people that contact me as a business owner from a spammy kind of perspective. So I'm working on getting that cleaned up. But anyway, I don't know, we all have those issues sometimes.
It seems like you get one person finally learns that doesn't work, and then somebody else comes in and does it to you anyway. So
Right,
it's
exactly.
yeah, email's probably best. And
Yeah.
what could they put in the subject line that would get your attention right away, as far as what they might put in the subject line?
So I love it. And you will hear me say that I do love it when you talk nerdy to me. So I would put in there nerdy questions or talk nerdy to me.
Great.
Something like that will grab my attention and know that you've heard me in some context and have an actual question for me. I don't assume that's a spammer. We'll have
Fantastic.
better ways to get in contact soon. We are just about to relaunch the website and also a really fantastic communication mechanism that will make things a little bit better. I love it when people join the communities. I can send them like secret spots to camp in. We're doing a lot of recipe things. There's a lot about this lifestyle that it doesn't have anything to do with the technology. And because we've lived it for so long, we're happy to help folks with as well. RV questions. I've gotten a lot of frantic, how do I empty this tank kind of things, right? Things come up. So
Sure.
please do reach out to me. We want to be a resource. We do have a YouTube channel that we're working to put more and more videos on to help people with those kinds of questions. So that's where the how to install your Go Roam antenna lives. That's where what the heck is a modem still doing in my technology day kind of information lives. On YouTube, we are just at Go Roam. You can find us there as well. That's a good
Very
resource.
good.
Yep.
Excellent. This has been enlightening. It's been fun learning more about what you do and just how you're impacting people's lives from the standpoint of connectivity with families. When a retired couple's on the road, they've got grandchildren and great grandchildren even, but they're on the road. And yet you're actually improving their lives with the ability to have family contact just
Yep.
the same. That's an awesome thing that you're doing from that standpoint. I want to thank you for the talk today. I learned a lot, and I think our viewers are going to enjoy it as well. Thanks.